This one decision changed everything. Sheikh Hamdan and the home he chose. The city woke before the sun, towers breathing light into the quiet, sand holding the memory of footsteps, and a man stood between past and future. Sheikh Hamdan walked where echoes live, not in halls of gold alone, but in streets where voices rise, where the ordinary morning begins. He listened to the ground, to the long patience of stone, to the whisper of homes built by hope, rather than by name. This one decision moved the wind, shifted the direction of silence. A choice not carved in marble, but written in lived moments. Home was no longer only height, no longer guarded by gates. Home became a promise of nearness, a place where breath feels shared. He saw the city as a living heart, beating in markets and mosques, in kitchens where tea is poured, in balconies facing the same sky. The home he chose was presence, standing among people, not above them, walking where children run. He carried legacy like a lamp, bright yet gentle, knowing light must touch many walls. To mean anything at all, the decision was quiet, almost invisible. But quiet things often change the world. Without asking permission, mothers felt it in daily rhythm. Fathers noticed it in work-worn hands. Youth sensed it as possibility. Elders nodded with understanding. Dubai breathed differently that day, as if the city felt seen, not as a monument, but as a family of stories. The desert recognized the step. The sea accepted the reflection. Even the sky leaned closer. To hear the intention, leadership softened into listening. Power turned toward care. Strength learned the language of humility without losing its spine. He chose a home made of trust, walls built from respect, windows open to conversation, doors shaped like welcome. This was not retreat. This was arrival, a return to the center, where meaning waits. The city answered with loyalty, with pride carried quietly, with hearts aligning to purpose rather than spectacle. Time paused to watch. History adjusted its course. Because one choice anchored itself in shared ground, the home he chose him back, gave him roots deeper than ceremony, taught him how closeness governs, more than distance ever could. In that space, decisions grow human. Policies learn compassion. Dreams gain direction. And tomorrow feels reachable. This one decision changed everything. Not by force, but by belonging. Not by command, but by care. And the city continues to speak of it. In small daily ways. In how people stand a little taller. Knowing home can be shared. Part 1 ends where living begins, with a door left open, and a leader who stepped inside, the same world as his people. The choice continued to unfold, like morning spreading across roofs. Slow, certain, unstoppable. People spoke without shouting. They felt the change before naming it, as warmth felt before light is seen. The home became a rhythm, not a structure, a way of moving through hours with awareness. He woke to sounds not filtered by distance, footsteps, voices, life beginning early. The city no longer performed. It breathed. It lived in its natural pace. Walls did not separate. They listened. Floors remembered weight. Ceilings held prayers. This home carried no spectacle, yet everything inside it mattered. Neighbors recognized familiarity, not surprise. Respect replaced curiosity. Children waved without instruction, their trust untrained, their honesty complete. He learned names, not from files, but from repetition, from presence. A leader becomes different when morning tea shares the same air as those he serves. Decisions slowed, not from weakness, but from consideration. Every choice now had faces. Every policy had footsteps. Every silence had meaning. The city leaned inward, not upward. Markets adjusted their tempo. Conversations grew braver. Complaints softened into dialogue. People felt permitted to exist without disguise. The home taught patience. The patience taught clarity. History often hides in ordinary rooms, waiting for someone to sit down. This was not abandonment of tradition. It was its continuation. In living form, honor does not always stand above. Sometimes it stands beside. Even the nights felt closer, stars less distant, as if alignment had occurred. The desert respected this grounding. It understands roots better than crowns. The sea mirrored steadiness, waves repeating assurance. He discovered strength in routine, in seeing the same streets, the same faces, the same truths. Trust grows through repetition, through showing up. Without announcement, the home shaped thought. Thought shaped action. Action shaped belief. People began to say, "He is here," not as statement, but as fact. That fact changed tone. Of news, of rumor, of expectation. Fear loosened its grip. Hope learned posture. The city did not become smaller. It became nearer. Distance is a habit. Closeness is a decision. This decision kept speaking long after it was made. It spoke in schools, in clinics, in workplaces, in late conversations. Leadership lost its echo and gained a voice. A voice does not need amplification. When it stands among others, he listened more than he answered, and answers improved. The home absorbed stories, heavy, personal, unfiltered. It returned wisdom, quiet, measured, human. Every night the city rested, knowing it was not unseen. This home carried no throne, yet it governed hearts. Authority rooted in understanding does not require defense. The streets felt lighter, as if approval had been mutual. The decision kept unfolding, teaching patience, teaching presence. It asked no applause and received loyalty. Time recorded it differently, not as event, but as turning. Part 2 closes without ending, because the morning returned again, not as repetition, but as confirmation. Light entered the rooms, carrying yesterday forward without burden. The home had learned the city, and the city had learned the home. Steps aligned naturally. No rehearsal, no announcement. People moved with steadier breath, as if something unseen had settled into place. Leadership revealed itself, not through distance, but through endurance. Staying is a form of courage. Remaining is a language. The walls no longer noticed rank. They recognized humanity. Time slowed inside those rooms, enough to allow truth. Conversations deepened, because they were not rushed. Listening became a daily act, not a ceremonial one. Silence grew useful. It carried meaning. Rather than absence, trust matured quietly, like roots below sand. The city watched, not with expectation, but with familiarity. Familiarity removes fear. Children grew older seeing presence. Not posters, not stories, but reality. Their understanding of power shifted from unreachable to responsible. The home reflected discipline in small acts, consistency, visibility. Each return reinforced belief. People felt steadiness in how days unfolded. There was no performance, only continuation. The desert honored this because it values persistence. The sea approved because it understands return. Even the wind learned direction. Leadership ceased to be spectacle and became service. Service shaped identity more than title ever could. The home did not change architecture. It changed perception. People began to speak differently, with less caution, with more honesty. Honesty found safety. Safety allowed progress. This is how cities evolve, not through speed, but through trust. The choice made earlier now carried weight, weight that grounded decisions. Rather than pressuring them, every challenge entered the room and left with context. Problems became shared, not delegated. The home absorbed responsibility and redistributed care. Care multiplies when practiced. The city felt continuity between intention and action. That alignment calmed unrest. Calm does not mean silence. It means assurance. Assurance allowed ambition. Without anxiety, people dared to imagine further. Because foundation felt secure, the home became reference. When doubt appeared, not a symbol, but a memory, memory of consistency, of presence maintained, the choice matured. From moment into method. Method shaped culture. Culture softened edges. Without dulling strength, strength gained patience. The days no longer questioned direction. They followed it. This is how permanence forms, through repetition of integrity. The city carried this forward into its own behavior. Respect grew mutual, unforced. Leadership mirrored community. Community reflected leadership. The circle held, the home remained open, not physically alone, but philosophically. Openness became habit. Habit became heritage. Long after the first step, the effect continued, not loudly, but faithfully. The city did not announce gratitude. It lived it. And living gratitude lasts longer than words. This decision no longer